Today's top stories. Tribal leaders blame the New People's Army for the rise in the number of civilian deaths in Mindanao. Malacanang is not issuing an executive order to implement the rehabilitation of Panglao Island and El Nido, Palawan. The Foreign Affairs Department urges undocumented Filipinos in UAE to avail of extended amnesty. And lawmakers approve a bill giving fair discounts to students.
Good day, I'm William Theo. Welcome to the PNA Newsroom. Tribal leaders are blaming the New People's Army for the increase in the number of civilian deaths in Mindanao. They also condemn NPA for exploiting indigenous peoples to push their agenda. Maricor Zapata has the story.
Communist infiltration, specifically by the CPP, NPA, and NDF, is being blamed for the rising death toll in tribal lands in Mindanao. Allen Capuyan, Presidential Advisor for Indigenous Peoples Concerns, said the exploitation of indigenous people, or IPs, intensifies the clamor to wage a pangayao or tribal war in the southern regions. Around 39% of CPP-NPA manpower was composed of IPs in 2017. An estimated 60 to 70% of the total CPP-NPA force in Mindanao are IPs. From 2015 to 2017, more than 23 tribal leaders were reported to have been killed for going against communist terrorist groups. Capuyan has disclosed that young indigenous people are being recruited as child combatants through the so-called IP schools. Mindanao IP Council of Elders Chair Datu Joel Unad attested that the NPA-run schools indoctrinated the young IPs into the communist struggle. The IP elders have signed the resolution citing the alleged trafficking and exploitation of 14 minors in Talaingod Town by Bayan Muna President Satur Ocampo and 17 others. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Maricor Zapata.
Police and military officials signed a document recommending to President Rodrigo Duterte a year-long extension of martial law in Mindanao. PNP Chief Oscar Albayalde said crime volume in Mindanao dropped by 32.8% since January this year. This is because of government troops conducting target hardening measures, checkpoints, and other police and military operations. Security measures freely implemented under martial law have also resulted in the confiscation of some 10,000 loose guns in Mindanao. No incident of human rights violations was reported since the declaration of martial law on the island. Martial law is expected to be lifted in Mindanao on December 31st. Lieutenant General Benjamin Madrigal is the new Armed Forces Chief of Staff. President Rodrigo Duterte approved Madrigal's appointment as AFP chief yesterday upon the recommendation of Defense Secretary Delfin Lorenzana. The former Eastern Mindanao Command Chief will replace General Carlito Galvez Jr., who will retire from the service on December 12. DND spokesperson Arsenio Andolong says the Defense Department assures Madrigal of its full support. It also thanks Galvez for his commendable leadership and outstanding military service in the AFP. Madrigal, a member of the Philippine Military Academy class of 1985, also served as Southern Luzon Command Chief and held key positions in the Philippine Army. He is set to retire on September 28, 2019. The United Arab Emirates has extended for the second time its amnesty program for undocumented workers in the Arab state. DFA urges our fellow kababayans in UAE to apply before the new deadline expires on December 31st. More than 2,700 Filipinos in the UAE have benefited from the amnesty program since its launch in August. Authorities are expected to launch an extensive campaign against violators of residency laws at the start of the year. Earlier, the DFA vowed to shoulder the exit fines and airline tickets of Filipinos who will seek repatriation and avail of the program. Outgoing AFP Chief of Staff Carlito Galvez Jr. may be appointed to the office of the Presidential Advisor on the Peace Process. Meanwhile, lawmakers moved to include indigenous people's rights to the President's policy agenda. More on these and other news around the Metro from Janice Cabe.
President Rodrigo Duterte is eyeing outgoing AFP Chief of Staff Carlito Galvez Jr. as the next head of the Office of the Presidential Advisor on the peace process. Galvez will step down on December 12 upon reaching the mandatory retirement age of 56. Last week, Jesus Dureza resigned as presidential advisor on the peace process, taking full responsibility for the corruption allegations against two OPAP officials. Meanwhile, lawmakers are eyeing to craft a resolution seeking to include IP's concerns in the national policy agenda of President Duterte. North Cotabato Representative Nancy Catamco calls for a resolution prioritizing the concerns of IPs and be highlighted in the 10-point socio-economic agenda of the president. The move comes in line with the complaint of various indigenous peoples leaders regarding the continuing atrocities of the New People's Army against them. More than 20,000 rebel returnees, indigenous peoples, and persons with disabilities received skills training from TESDA since 2016. TESDA continues to keep tab on the employment of rebel returnees since they find it more difficult to find jobs. To date, TESDA is prioritizing the skills training leading to self-employment or entrepreneurship for rebel returnees right after finishing their qualifications. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Janice Cave.
Still to come, Malacanang is not issuing an executive order to implement the rehabilitation of Panglao Island and El Nido, Palawan. Baguio City ensures enough water as tourists arrive for the holiday season. More on these when the PNA Newsroom continues.
This is Secretary Martin Andanon, and you're watching. We are instituting reforms at PCOO that would somehow equalize the level playing field. So we set up the Office of Global Media and International Affairs to be able to do some media relations work. We've gone around, talked to different missions, Israeli mission, American mission, the UK mission, the Philippine mission, and the common advice is to set up an operation and hire locally. Bangkok is very crucial to us because there are so many international media, and it's a win-win situation for the two of us because kami naman will do our part in doing our media relations.
Yes.
Both of them will be flying in and out of Bangkok, and we're setting up in key areas.
The Duterte cabinet sees no need to issue an executive order to rehabilitate beaches in Panglao Island, Bohol, and El Nido, Palawan. Presidential spokesperson Salvador Panelo says there is no need for a total closure before Panglao and El Nido could undergo rehabilitation. This despite Panglao and El Nido having similar environmental problems as on Boracay Island. Tourism Secretary Bernadette Puyat raised the idea of replicating the government's efforts to rehabilitate Boracay and other tourist destinations in Bohol and Palawan. President Duterte earlier reminded the local government and residents in Palawan to protect the environment by preventing overcrowding on the island. What changes should manufacturers look forward to, and how do stakeholders see the government's efforts to help businesses? Let's find out in part 2 of this week's episode of Business Matters.
Welcome to Business Matters. I'm your host, Miguel Hill. Still with us today is the chairman of the Federation of Philippine Industries, Mr. Jesus Jess Aranza. And we're talking about the state of Philippine manufacturing. Holiday na naman, alam ko, yung organization nyo, active kayo dun sa pagbigay ng babala tungkol dun sa mga mga imported items na hindi pasado dun sa standards.
Sa steel bars, paano ang pag-check ng standard? Bawat dito sa local manufacturers, bawat 20 tons, huhugot ng isang steel bar para tingnan ang kalidad. Pero pag nag-import ng 5,000 metric tons, isang bar din ang hinuhugot. Sa tingin mo, is that a representative of the entire universe? Hindi. How can we invite investors to our country if we cannot protect their own market here in the country?
As far as the policies that government has been adopting over the past year, even through the period of inflation, to encourage entrepreneurship, to help local businesses, how would you rate, sir, itong ayuda na binibigay ng kasalukuyang administrasyon sa larangan ng policies, mga patakaran, para tulungan yung mga lokal na industriya?
By and large, the present dispensation ay maayos ang nabibigyan na suporta. Hindi ko naman sinabing perfect na. Nothing is perfect in this world. Pero maganda naman ang ginagawa. Isa, yung peace and order lang napakalaking bagay sa amin, sa industriya. Kanya lamang, yung mga traffic, hindi naman makokontrol ng ating Pangulo pagtaas ng fuel. Doon sa international market
Yes.
Ang suggestion lang namin simple. Una, sabi natin, congested. We build more roads? No. We use that money to build roads to instead give incentive to manufacturers in the metropolis so that they can transfer to rural areas. And it will disperse people, disperse the industries, and you create hindi lang less traffic, but you create a more equitable distribution of wealth. And you create a balanced development of the city's metropolis and the far-flung barrios.
What do you see as the challenges and the opportunities that will confront us or face us or bless us as you as manufacturers and the rest of Philippine business?
Yung ginagawa ng ating Pangulo ngayon na pabilisin ang to ease business, doing business in the Philippines. Tama yun. That's the right direction.
Sir, parting shots nyo as we look forward to a new year.
Sa aking pananaw, ang bagong taong darating ay hindi naman natin sasabihin masama. I believe that it will be a good year. Why? Because though we have, ang sabi natin, unfavorable balance of payment, ibig sabihin, ang inaangkat natin ay mas marami ang gastos natin kaysa doon ine-export natin. Ngunit, ang karamihan na inaangkat natin ay mga capital goods. Ibig sabihin, pinaghahandaan ang mga manufacturing concern na darating. So, ang kailangan lang natin maging masino at maging mamatsyag tayo sa ating mga kapaligiran. So, we make life easier for our countrymen. Buhayin natin, bigyan natin, at turuan pa rin natin na ang dahas ay hindi dapat na maging maumiral dito sa ating bansa. Kahinahunan ang kailangan natin at magiging kaya-aya sa negosyo ang kapaligiran ng ating bansa.
And on that note, this has been Business Matters. I'm your host, Miguel Hill. Thank you for watching.
Baguio City ensures enough water for tourists during the holiday season. Meanwhile, soldiers attack an NPA camp in Quezon Province. More on these stories from the provinces from Benj Bondok.
The Baguio Water District assures residents that water will be enough for everyone this Christmas season. The Water District is reserving the water at the newly rehabilitated Santo Tomas Rain Basin for use during summer. In Quezon Province, troops of the 1st Infantry Battalion overran a temporary camp of the New People's Army in Sampaloc Town. 3 soldiers were slightly wounded while the NPA suffered an undetermined number of casualties. The soldiers recovered 1 M16 rifle loaded with magazine and ammunition, personal belongings, and other war material. The military says the camp was likely part of the possible preparation for their December 26th anniversary celebration. In General Santos City, joint anti-drug operatives arrested a drug suspect in a buy-bust operation. Alfonso Malayon Gulae yielded several packs of dried marijuana weighing around a kilogram with an estimated street value of 34,000 pesos. Gulae is reportedly a major supplier of marijuana in Tampakan town and a high-value drug personality. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Bench Bondo.
Up next, lawmakers approve a bill giving fare discounts to students. And Lawag City hosts the Milo Marathon National Finals. The PNA Newsroom returns after these reminders. The House Transportation Committee has approved a substitute bill granting a 20% student fare discount even during weekends and holidays. The Student Fare Discount Act covers buses, jeepneys, taxis, and other vehicles for hire, tricycles, passenger trains, aircraft, and marine vessels. A student shall be entitled to a 20% discount upon presenting a school ID card or current validated enrollment form. It may be availed of during the entire period while the student is enrolled, including weekends and holidays. Under the said bill, operators may claim as tax deductions the student fare discount they granted. It also provides additional relief or support for the public transportation utility operator and driver. And in our foreign news, United Nations General Assembly President Maria Fernanda Espinosa launched a global campaign to raise awareness against plastic pollution around the world. The campaign calls for the reduction of plastic waste at the UN system and global advocacy in collaboration with member states and UN agencies. Espinosa expressed the hope that single-use plastic could be eradicated at UN premises. The campaign is a collaboration with a group of friends led by Antigua and Barbuda, Norway, and other member states, as well as UN Environment and other relevant factors. All is set for the staging of the 42nd Milo Marathon National Finals on December 9 in Lawag City, Ilocos Norte. About 12,000 runners are joining the country's biggest and longest running race. Lawag City will be hosting the event for the first time in commemoration of Ilocos Norte's bicentennial anniversary celebration. Defending champions George Andrade and Mary Joy Tabal are determined to keep their respective titles in the competition. The champions in the 42K category will each receive 150,000 pesos in cash and other prizes. Additional cash prizes await those who win the open category, break the invisible barrier set for the race, and break the course record. Milo will donate 1,500 pairs of shoes to public school children and 2,500 basketballs to public schools nationwide as part of its advocacy to support sports. A chef and hobbyist topped this year's Culinaria Caviteña cooking competition. He says his passion and drive to experience new things pushed him to compete and showcase the best in Cavite's cuisine. Janice Cave has the story.
A chef, teacher, foodie, and photo hobbyist who describes himself as an average Caviteño guy bagged the top spot in the Culinaria Caviteña 2018 Cook-Off Challenge held at the Lyceum of the Philippines. Nicole Pimentel says the cash part of winning the Culinaria 2018 is a mere bonus and treasures more than experience. His entries include shrimp and oyster cake with tinapa cream sauce, adobong dilaw with kamote and calabasa puree, and mango shirt cake with quesillo cheese. Second placer Chef Armand Joseph Nido says he gets motivated by the opportunity to promote Cavite's gastronomical treasures, especially from his town, Tanza. Marvin Carandang, who is the Dean and Professor of Cavite City's St. Gregory College of Science and Technology, finished third. Cali Culinaria is organized by the provincial government of Cavite. The event aims to make professional chefs and culinary enthusiasts aware, appreciate, and come up with innovative approaches on how to promote Cavite's cultural history of local cuisines without losing its authenticity. The winners are thankful for the opportunity to relive and reintroduce Caviteño cuisines while promoting how rich Cavite's culinary treasures are. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Janice Cave.
Let's now check out the weather forecast for Metro Manila and the rest of the country. Let's take another look at today's top stories.
Tribal leaders blame the New People's Army for the rise in the number of civilian deaths in Mindanao. Malacanang is not issuing an executive order to implement the rehabilitation of Panglao Island and El Nido, Palawan. The Foreign Affairs Department urges undocumented Filipinos in UAE to avail of extended amnesty. And lawmakers approve a bill giving fair discounts to students.
Thank you for watching another edition of the PNA Newsroom. To check out these and other stories, visit the PNA website or follow the Philippine News Agency on Facebook and Twitter. For more stories about the government and how it serves the Filipinos, look for these hashtags in all of our social media platforms and websites. And only a few more days to go, 19 days more to go before Christmas. And that's your daily dose of the latest news and information that you need to know. From the PNA Newsroom, I am William Theo. Good day.